Hey Book Dragons, I'm Chaz, and I'm so glad that you're here. Today we're going to be talking about a recent bookstore experience that I had while I was on my trip in New York, and I got to share this with some friends, and I'll talk about that as well. This is a very iconic bookstore, and it's been around, oh gosh, probably 60, 70 years at this point. I mean, it's an old bookstore, and just absolutely had a blast there. It's a gigantic store. A few years back, I visited Portland, Oregon, and I went to Powell's Books in Portland, Oregon, and I thought that bookstore was big. But I think this bookstore takes the cake as far as large bookstores go, so far that I've been to. And that, guys, is, can you see the bag here? The Strand. Yes, I went to the iconic, very famous bookstore, The Strand, and I was joined by my wonderful booktube friends, Joe from Book Buds, Chris from Chris Reviews, and Dave from Book Blather. And of course, I also had my wonderful partner, Kara, with me. So it was the five of us just kind of exploring this bookstore together. And I'll put a picture up here on the screen for proof that we were there. And I am going to do a book haul in a minute. I'm going to open this up and show you a few things I got while I was in New York in terms of books. But before that, I just want to talk about my experience with this bookstore. It was just overwhelming, really. It was very overwhelming. So you walk into the store, and of course, like any other bookstore, it's just full of tables that are piled with books, and you've got new releases and staff recommends, and you've got a whole giant manga section and graphic novels and comic book section. And of course, they sell merchandise like t-shirts and mugs and bags and everything like that. And I thought about getting a t-shirt, but I figured a bag would last me longer. You know, t-shirts, after you wash them a few times, they wear out. So I decided to get this. So the first level is, I think, the core of what they sell, because that's where you're going to find all the different genres like fantasy and horror and romance and science fiction, and they've got nonfiction there too. So that's the core of main sales, I think. And they just had tables full of books and really eye-catching books, and you want to buy all the books that you see, but you just don't have room in your bag. And I mean, I had room in this bag, but let's be honest, guys, I needed to not check a bag when I go back on the plane, and so I'm like, okay, I've got to restrict myself. And I did. But, it was really neat to just experience it and talk with my friends about the books they were reading and get pictures together and laugh a lot. It was just a really great time. So there are 4 floors in this bookstore. When you walk in, that's the main level, and then they have 1 level downstairs, and they have 2 levels upstairs. And the second level, the first level above the main level, I believe is where most of the kids' books are and stuff like that. And that wasn't necessarily really our thing, but we looked around at everything and just had a great time. Lots of reference works on one of the levels, and I think the most interesting experience I had was going up to the very top floor where they have all the rare and signed books. And I tell you guys, you walk into that room and you are just hit with the smell of old vellum, old book smell. And oh, guys, that is one of my favorite smells. It really is. I love the smell of old books. Yes, it means they're musty and tattered and deteriorated, but there's just something about that smell, right? So that was just a neat experience. There were volumes in that room that sold for $3,000 or more, because they're that old and that rare. There are other books that are in a somewhat reasonable price range. I saw a really cool hard case edition, a slipcase hardcover of The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. I was seriously tempted to buy it, but I went up to the counter and I asked the price, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that one's $300." I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do it, especially because I have not read Phantom of the Opera. I don't know if I would like it. I'm a huge fan of the musical. I've loved the musical all my life, but I've never read the book, and so I just don't know. And I didn't feel like it was right to spend that kind of money on a book I've never read, and I don't know if it's worthy of having that kind of an edition. So I think that was probably my favorite room in the bookstore itself. But of course, I gravitate to the main level guys because that's where all the sci-fi and fantasy are, and I spent a good chunk of time in among the shelves of sci-fi and fantasy. Saw some really great books there, books that I was interested in getting, but I wasn't sure. There were a couple of books that I was looking for that they did not have, or they were more tattered than I really wanted to buy. I like to have my books in fairly good condition, at least, unless it's one of those really old rare books, that you can't get anywhere. Then the tattered nature of it is just expected. But most of my books, I try to keep nice books on my shelf for shelf-worthy books. And so, I went looking for a specific couple of books, specifically A Feast for Crows by George R. R. Martin. That's the only hardcover I don't have in the Game of Thrones series and the A Song by Some Fire series. And I was also looking for Deception Point by Dan Brown in hardcover, but they didn't have that one, and they did have Feast of Crows, but it was kind of beat up. So I'm like, yeah, I think I'll wait. They sell new stuff there as well, but a lot of it's secondhand as well, so it's to be expected. But I think my favorite part of that was just walking along with my friends, Joe and Dave and Chris and my partner Kara, and just talking with each other about different books and, pointing out books on the shelf. Oh, have you read this? Have you read this? And talking about that. So that was a really, really special time for me, I think. And I think it was for them as well. I hope it was. It seemed like it was. They got to put up with Chaz for a very long time. And so that was really cool. I had a blast just talking about books with them. And we did go to the lower level as well, and that's where a lot of the philosophy works are. So there's a lot about current events and business books and self-help and philosophy. And there were a couple of specific books that I was looking for there as well. One was The Stranger by Albert Camus, which I really wanted to read, but I can't seem to find it in any bookstore. I can get it on ebook from the library, but it's not. I haven't found it in any bookstore that I've been to. There's copies of other works of his, like The Myth of Sisyphus and The Rebel, which I want to read those too, to be honest, but I'm really focused on trying to get a hold of a copy of The Stranger right now, so I'll probably just read it on ebook, but no bookstore I find has The Stranger, and I find that kind of perplexing, because it's one of his most well-known works, but maybe that's why. Maybe just all the copies are sold out and they can never keep it in stock. I don't know. It was a great experience, and I think one of the signature experiences of my trip to New York, because I'm a bookworm, guys. I love books. There was another bookstore right next to it that we didn't have time to go into, and I believe that was Forbidden Planet. I had wanted to go in there if there was time, but there really wasn't. And so, not a big deal. But the Strand was really where I wanted to go and see. So now that I've talked about all that, and you're probably tired of hearing me go on about that, let's go ahead and talk about the book. So yes, I did get this lovely bookshelf bag from the Strand. I mean, look at that. And there's cats all over the bag, and it's got a nice zipper to it, And yeah, I love cats and I love books. And there's a little hearth right there with the fireplace and stuff. So yeah. Established 1927. I don't know if you can see that there. So it's almost 100 years old, guys. This bookstore is almost 100 years old. Woo-hoo. So yeah. Anyway, and I got a little matching bag. It's just a trinket bag of sorts, but I'm using it for my medication bottles, my medication and my vitamin bottles. So that was cool. I got to get that because I've been looking for a good bag to keep those in, and so I got a nice matching little bag for that. So that was really an awesome experience. Okay, now we are going to get to the books. And the first book I want to talk about, it was my birthday going to New York, and that's why I went to New York. And, I got to hang out with everybody and just celebrate and hang out. And one of my friends, Joe from Book Buds, gave me a coloring book. And it's not just any coloring book, guys. This is Fitz and the Fool from Robin Hobb. So it's a Robin Hobb coloring book, and I'm just absolutely stoked. And yes, adult coloring books are a thing. I love coloring books. I don't have any, really. I haven't really done it, but I like the idea of it, and I've always wanted to do it. And this was the perfect gift. So, it's got different coloring pages there. And I do have some colored pencils and stuff like that, and I should probably get some crayons and just embrace my inner kid. So that was cool, and he got me a cool card. Holy poop! It's your birthday. So that was awesome. So just a little side note there. I didn't get that at the Strand, but he gave it to me on the same day. So I wanted to showcase that here as part of my book haul. Okay. And then nice thing about this bag too is it has a nice little pouch that I can keep things in. This pouch is perfect to hold my Kobo. That's where I put my Kobo to carry it for the ride home. It was so perfect. Yes, I've got some threads. Okay, well, that thread just came right out, so that's perfect. All right, so now we're going to get to more books. All right, so one of the books I got at the Strand was Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. And, really, really cool covers. I love it. It's a cozy cover, and I love cozy covers. And this is a time travel series, I believe. I've heard it's really good. I've never read it. And I did get the ebook a few months back, or maybe almost a year back. But I've never seen it in hardcover. And so I'm like, that's a really nice little edition. I'm going to buy the physical copy. And I'm really glad I did. And one of the guys, I forget which one it was telling me that they'd read it and it was good. So I think it might have been Joe, but it might have been Dave as well. Or it might have been Chris as well. She might have told me about it. I can't remember which. Guys, if you're watching this, remind me which one of you it was that told me about this book. So, yes, this is a book that I've been wanting to read. And, one of the blurbs on it says, this is a sweet fable-like tale about a magical seat in a cafe where you can, if you wish, go back in time. An odd read, but also a charming one. I'm down for it, guys. I'm so excited about that one. And then the other book I got is going to be a cozy one as well. And I'm going to set my bag down now. And that is Shop Cats of New York. You guys know I love cats. And we walked by several windows when we were in New York that had cats in them. So that, you just walk by these little shops. Maybe it's a flower shop, or maybe it's a trinket shop or whatever. And there's a little bed in there, and they've got a cat sitting in the window, just looking out at people. And sometimes the cats will come out of the business and, just walk around. There was a cat roaming around in one of the flower beds outside a flower shop. And I love that. I mean, what city can you go to that has shop cats? I mean, maybe there are others, but when I saw this, I'm like, that is a book for me. So, yes, Shop Cats of New York, and it's just got, little blurbs about different shops where the cats show up, and telling about, I guess that cat's name is Pillow Cat, and how cool is that, guys? There's a cat in a yarn shop. I love this book. I'm so happy I got this book. So that's really all I got at the Strand. I didn't want to get too many books, because then I'd have to haul them back and maybe even pay to check a bag. I didn't want to do that. So it worked out, though. And I found lots of good ideas for books that I need to look for back home here. And it was just a magical experience. I love New York. I am going to have a full vlog coming up for my trip to New York. It'll have pictures and little bits of video and talking about some of the books I was reading while I was there. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be messy, but it's going to be fun. And I hope you like messy vlogs, because, it's going to be a little bit chaotic. But I hope you've enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments below what you think of my trip to the Strand. And I hope you're having an awesome day. Make sure you read more books, and I will talk with you soon.